21 Black celebrities who had the most beautiful wives in Hollywood. What if some of Hollywood's most powerful black legends had one weakness: fame could never protect them from the extraordinary women they loved behind the Oscars? Platinum records, sold-out shows, and million-dollar careers were wives whose beauty could stop a room, but whose stories were often even more fascinating than their famous husbands. Some marriages survived more than 4 decades. Others ended in painful divorce, while a few became unforgettable chapters in entertainment history. But which legendary star truly married the most stunning woman of them all? Stay with us, because some of these couples may completely surprise you. Before we begin, subscribe to Golden Black Legends, hit the like button, and tell us in the comments which celebrity wife you believe deserves the #1 spot. Smokey Robinson and Claudette Rogers Robinson. Long before Smokey Robinson became one of Motown's defining voices, Claudette Rogers was already standing beside him, not simply as the beautiful woman he loved, but as a performer helping shape the sound that would transform American music. Claudette joined the Miracles in the late 1950s, and on November 7, 1959, she and Smokey married. Their partnership soon became intertwined with Motown's extraordinary rise, as Smokey emerged as a gifted singer, songwriter, producer, and eventually vice president of the label. Claudette possessed a graceful, understated beauty, but her importance went far beyond appearance. As the Miracles toured and recorded, she endured a particularly painful chapter involving multiple miscarriages. Eventually, the couple became parents to 2 children, Barry William and Tamla, names reflecting their close connection to Berry Gordy and Motown's Tamla label. Yet fame placed enormous pressure on their marriage. Smokey's career demanded recording sessions, songwriting, touring, and constant attention from admirers. He has also publicly acknowledged marital infidelity. During their marriage, he fathered another son, Trey, outside the relationship. Rather than inventing dramatic confrontations, the documented reality is powerful enough. After more than a quarter century together, Smokey and Claudette divorced in 1986. Their story, however, cannot be reduced to betrayal. Claudette was present during the formative years of a musical revolution, while Smokey became responsible for classics, including the tracks of My Tears, Ooh Baby Baby, and The Tears of a Clown. Their marriage ultimately ended, but the history they created together remains inseparable from the golden age of Motown, a relationship built on young love, extraordinary success, painful complications, and a legacy that survived long after the romance itself was over. Sammy Davis Jr. and Alto Wise Davis. By the time Sammy Davis Jr. met Alto Wise Gore, he had already lived several lifetimes under the spotlight. Singer-dancer, actor, comedian, and celebrated member of the Rat Pack, Sammy possessed the kind of talent that could command a Las Vegas showroom almost instantly. Alto Wise, however, was no anonymous beauty standing in a superstar's shadow. Born Alto Wise Joanne Gore, she was a dancer and entertainer with Broadway experience who had built a performing career of her own. Their relationship began in the late 1960s, and on May 11, 1970, Sammy and Alto Wise married in Philadelphia, with Reverend Jesse Jackson officiating. She became his 3rd and final wife. Together they navigated a world of extraordinary celebrity, relentless performances, and the complicated personal pressures surrounding one of America's most recognizable entertainers. Their marriage lasted 20 years. In 1989, they adopted a son, Manny, giving their partnership another deeply personal dimension, just as Sammy's health was deteriorating. After being diagnosed with throat cancer, Sammy continued performing for as long as he could. He died on May 16, 1990, at age 64, only days after the couple's 20th wedding anniversary. For Alto Wise, losing her husband did not end the struggle. Sammy left behind serious financial problems, including millions of dollars in federal tax debt. His Beverly Hills home was eventually sold, while jewelry, memorabilia, and other possessions were auctioned as the estate confronted its obligations. Alto Wise later worked to protect and celebrate Sammy's artistic legacy. That is what makes their story more compelling than the exaggerated scandals often attached to Hollywood marriages. Altovise shared Sammy's final 2 decades, remained his wife until his death, and then faced the difficult aftermath of his fame. Behind the glamour stood a woman whose endurance became an important part of the final chapter of Sammy Davis Jr.'s remarkable life. Sidney Poitier and Joanna Shimkus. Sidney Poitier had already changed Hollywood history before Joanna Shimkus became his wife. In 1964, he became the first black performer to win the Academy Award for Best Actor, receiving the Oscar for Lilies of the Field. By the late 1960s, he was not merely a movie star, but a symbol of black achievement in an industry where meaningful leading roles for African American actors had long been painfully limited. Yet away from that historic career, Poitier found a lasting partnership with Canadian actress Joanna Shimkus. The two met while working on the 1969 film The Lost Man. Shimkus, known for her elegant screen presence and striking beauty, had established an acting career that included European and North American productions. Their relationship developed during a complicated period in Poitier's personal life, and they eventually married on January 23, 1976. Their union would become remarkably enduring by Hollywood standards. Together, Sidney and Joanna had 2 daughters, Annika and Sidney Tamia Poitier. Sidney followed her parents into acting, while the family generally maintained a more private existence than the sensational celebrity culture surrounding them might suggest. Joanna also stepped away from acting for many years, concentrating heavily on family life. Through the decades, she remained beside Sidney as his stature grew from acclaimed actor to genuine cultural institution. He received numerous honors, including an honorary Academy Award in 2002 for his extraordinary achievements and contribution to cinema. When Sidney Poitier died on January 6, 2022 at age 94. He and Joanna had been married for nearly 46 years. Their relationship therefore stands apart from many turbulent Hollywood romances, an interracial marriage that crossed generations of enormous social change and endured through almost half a century of extraordinary fame. Bill Cosby and Camille Cosby. When Bill Cosby married Camille Olivia Hanks on January 25, 1964, neither could have predicted how dramatically their lives would change. Bill was an ambitious young comedian, beginning his ascent in entertainment, while Camille, who had met him while she was a college student, possessed the composed elegance that would later make her instantly recognizable beside one of television's biggest stars. Their marriage eventually became one of the longest and most publicly scrutinized unions in American entertainment. As Bill's career exploded through stand-up television recordings and eventually The Cosby Show, Camille maintained an influential presence beyond the red carpet. She pursued higher education, earned a doctorate, worked as a producer, and became involved in philanthropy and the preservation of African American history and culture. Together, the couple had 5 children: Erica, Erin, Ansa, Evan, and Anis. Their family also experienced devastating loss. In January 1997, their only son, Anis, was murdered during an attempted robbery in Los Angeles. He was just 27. The tragedy permanently changed the family and became one of the darkest chapters of their decades together. Years later, their marriage entered an entirely different kind of public storm, as numerous women accused Bill Cosby of sexual misconduct. Camille publicly defended her husband. Bill was convicted in Pennsylvania in 2018 of aggravated indecent assault, but in 2021, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned that conviction, ruling that prosecuting him had violated his due process rights connected to an earlier non-prosecution agreement. The reversal did not constitute a factual finding that the underlying allegations were false. For a story centered on famous black men and the women beside them, Camille's significance cannot be reduced to physical beauty. Her marriage has lasted for more than 6 decades, through exceptional success, unimaginable family grief, legal controversy, and intense public judgment. A complicated Hollywood partnership whose full story is far more consequential than glamour alone. Quincy Jones and Peggy Lipton. Few Hollywood couples represented the cultural transformation of the 1970s. Quite like Quincy Jones and Peggy Lipton, Quincy was already an extraordinary composer, arranger, conductor, and producer whose career crossed jazz, film, television, and popular music. Peggy, meanwhile, had become a television sensation through her Emmy-nominated role as Julie Barnes on The Mod Squad. With her distinctive blonde hair and effortlessly fashionable appearance, she was widely regarded as one of television's defining beauties of her generation. Their relationship attracted attention, partly because interracial celebrity couples were still navigating significant social prejudice. They married in 1974, bringing together two people from very different backgrounds at a moment when both American entertainment and American attitudes toward race were changing. Peggy largely stepped away from the intense pace of acting while raising their family. The couple welcomed two daughters who would eventually build impressive careers of their own. Kidada Jones, born in 1974, became a designer, model, and creative figure, while Rashida Jones, born in 1976, became a successful actress, writer, producer, and filmmaker. During their years together, Quincy's career expanded dramatically. His work increasingly placed him among the most important producers in modern music, although one crucial correction to exaggerated retellings is necessary. Thriller did not exist when Quincy and Peggy first became a couple. Quincy produced Michael Jackson's landmark album years later, with Thriller arriving in 1982. Their marriage ultimately did not last. Quincy and Peggy separated before divorcing in 1990 after roughly 16 years of marriage. Yet their connection continued through their daughters and shared family history. Peggy died from cancer in 2019 at age 72. Quincy died in 2024 at age 91. Rather than inventing dramatic suitcases, secret letters, or cinematic confrontations, their documented story already carries enough weight. Two major cultural figures whose marriage produced a family legacy that continues across Hollywood, fashion, television, and film. Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee were far more than a glamorous black Hollywood couple. For nearly 6 decades, they built a marriage in which acting, activism, family, and a shared commitment to equality became almost impossible to separate. Their story began in 1946 when they met while appearing in the Broadway production Jeb. Ruby, already admired for her expressive presence and natural elegance, found in Ossie a partner whose ambitions extended well beyond the stage. They married on December 9, 1948. Together they became two of the most respected figures in African American theater and film. Ruby earned acclaim through projects including A Raisin in the Sun, while Ossie established himself as an actor, writer, director, and powerful public speaker. Yet their partnership carried another dimension. Both were deeply involved in the civil rights movement, working alongside prominent activists and using their celebrity to challenge racial injustice. Their marriage produced 3 children: Guy Davis, Nora Day, and Hasna Muhammad. Even as their careers expanded, the couple frequently collaborated professionally, appearing together in films and stage productions while maintaining an unusually visible intellectual partnership. Their commitment was tested by the demands of entertainment and activism, but their union endured for 56 years. Ossie died on February 4, 2005 at age 87 while working on a film in Miami Beach. Ruby continued acting afterward, earning an Academy Award nomination for American Gangster and receiving numerous lifetime honors before her death in 2014 at age 91. In a Hollywood culture often fascinated by short-lived romances, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee represented something different. Ruby's beauty was undeniable, but what made their relationship extraordinary was the substance behind it. Two gifted black artists who spent decades loving, creating, raising a family, and fighting for causes larger than themselves. Denzel Washington and Pauletta Washington. Denzel Washington, may be one of the most celebrated leading men in Hollywood history, but one relationship predates nearly all of the fame, Oscars, and blockbuster performances associated with his name. Pauletta Washington-born Pauletta Pearson entered his life before he became an international star, and their marriage has endured for more than 4 decades. They first met while working on the 1977 television film Wilma, although their romantic connection developed afterward. Pauletta was an accomplished performer herself, with experience as an actress, singer, and pianist. Her sophisticated presence and understated beauty made her a memorable figure long before she became widely recognized as Denzel Washington's wife. The couple married on June 25, 1983. They later renewed their vows in South Africa in 1995 with Archbishop Desmond Tutu officiating. Together, Denzel and Pauletta raised 4 children, John David, Katia, and twins Malcolm and Olivia. Their children eventually pursued careers connected to entertainment, with John David becoming a prominent actor in his own right. Meanwhile, Denzel's career reached extraordinary heights. He won Academy Awards for Glory and Training Day and became one of the most influential black actors of his generation. But celebrity inevitably brought tabloid attention. Over the years, rumors concerning the Washingtons' marriage have circulated repeatedly. Responsible storytelling requires an important distinction. Rumors should not be presented as established facts without reliable evidence. What is documented is considerably more compelling. After more than 40 years of marriage, Pauletta has remained a major presence in Denzel's personal and family life. Denzel himself has spoken about the commitment and work required to sustain a lasting marriage. Their story, therefore, fits this subject for reasons beyond appearance. Pauletta is an elegant woman married to an extraordinary Hollywood star, but longevity is what makes their partnership remarkable. A relationship that began before global fame and survived after that fame became enormous. Marvin Gaye and Anna Gordy. Marvin Gaye's marriage to Anna Gordy was one of the most consequential and complicated relationships of his life. When they became involved, Marvin was still climbing through the Motown system, while Anna already belonged to one of the most influential families in black music. She was the sister of Motown founder Berry Gordy, a songwriter and businesswoman in her own right, and a woman whose sophistication and confidence made a powerful impression on the younger singer. Anna was approximately 17 years older than Marvin. They married on January 8, 1964, during the period when his career was accelerating dramatically. In the years that followed, Marvin became one of Motown's essential voices, recording romantic hits before eventually pushing toward more personal and socially ambitious work such as What's Going On. Their family life included their son, Marvin Gaye III, whom they raised together. But success did not guarantee stability. Their relationship deteriorated amid emotional conflict, Marvin's infidelity, career pressures, financial disagreements, and his increasingly complicated personal life. By the 1970s, the marriage was collapsing. Their divorce became particularly famous because it became connected to Marvin's music. As part of the financial settlement, a portion of the royalties from his next album was designated for Anna. That record became Here My Dear, released in 1978, an intensely personal double album inspired heavily by the breakdown of their marriage. Rather than simply producing commercial material to satisfy an obligation, Marvin created an uncomfortably intimate examination of love, resentment, regret, and separation. That artistic aftermath makes Anna unique among the women connected to legendary musicians. She was not simply Marvin Gaye's beautiful first wife. She became part of the emotional history behind one of his most revealing works. Their marriage ended, but its influence did not disappear. In Marvin and Anna's case, heartbreak was transformed into music, leaving listeners with an unusually raw portrait of what can remain when love and fame collide. Otis Redding and Zelma Redding. Behind Otis Redding's electrifying performances and unmistakably emotional voice stood Zelma Redding, the woman who knew him before the world fully understood how extraordinary he would become. Their relationship began when they were young in Georgia, far removed from the international reputation Otis would later achieve. They met in 1959 and married in August 1961, beginning a partnership that would be cut tragically short just as his career was reaching astonishing heights. Zelma was not a Hollywood actress chasing publicity. Her appeal was different, poised, attractive, grounded, and closely connected to the home life Otis returned to between demanding tours and recording sessions. Together they had 4 children, Dexter, Demetria, Carla, and Otis the third. During their marriage, Otis transformed from a regional performer into one of soul music's most commanding voices. Recordings such as Try a Little Tenderness, Respect, and I've Been Loving You Too Long helped establish him as a major star. His performance at the Monterey International Pop Festival in June 1967 further expanded his audience and suggested that an even greater chapter was beginning. Then everything changed. On December 10, 1967, the plane carrying Otis and members of the Bar-Kays crashed into Lake Monona near Madison, Wisconsin. Otis was only 26 years old. Zelma suddenly became a widow with young children, while the world mourned an artist whose career had barely reached its potential. Just weeks later, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, recorded shortly before his death, was released. It became Otis's first #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Zelma subsequently devoted enormous energy to protecting her husband's legacy while also becoming a businesswoman and community figure in Macon. Their marriage lasted only about 6 years, but its significance extended across decades. Otis became immortal through his music. Zelma became one of the people ensuring that the man behind that music and the family they created together would never be forgotten. Louis Armstrong and Lucille Wilson. Louis Armstrong spent decades becoming one of the most influential musicians America ever produced, but the woman who shared the longest and final chapter of his life was Lucille Wilson Armstrong. Before their marriage, Louis had already experienced 3 unsuccessful unions and lived the restless existence of a constantly traveling jazz musician. Lucille brought something different: elegance, independence, and a sense of stability that the legendary trumpeter desperately needed. Lucille was no stranger to entertainment. A dancer who performed at Harlem's famous Cotton Club, she possessed the poise and glamorous appearance associated with New York nightlife during the jazz era. She and Louis met in the late 1930s, and their relationship gradually developed despite Armstrong's demanding schedule. They married in October 1942, making Lucille his 4th wife. One of Lucille's most important contributions was creating a genuine home for Louis. In 1943, she purchased a house in Corona, Queens, New York. Armstrong initially questioned the neighborhood, but the property became their permanent residence. Instead of moving into a mansion after his fame grew, Louis remained there for the rest of his life. Their marriage lasted nearly 3 decades as Armstrong traveled internationally, recorded extensively, and became one of the most recognizable black entertainers in the world. Lucille accompanied him through periods of extraordinary success as well as declining health. Armstrong's achievements included enduring recordings such as What a Wonderful World and the chart-topping Hello Dolly. Louis died at their Queens home on July 6, 1971, at age 69. Lucille survived him and dedicated significant effort to preserving his memory and their home. Her importance cannot be measured simply by beauty. Lucille Wilson gave one of jazz history's most restless travelers somewhere to belong. Their Corona house eventually became the Louis Armstrong House Museum, a physical reminder that behind an international icon stood a sophisticated black woman who helped give his remarkable life a permanent home. Samuel L. Jackson and LaTanya Richardson Jackson. Long before Samuel L. Jackson became one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors, LaTanya Richardson was already part of his story. Their relationship began not on a glamorous movie set or at a celebrity party, but during their college years in Atlanta. Samuel attended Morehouse College while LaTanya studied at Spelman College, and their shared passion for performance helped bring them together. LaTanya possessed the intelligence, confidence, and striking presence that would later define her own career as an actress, director, and producer. The couple married on August 18, 1980, years before Samuel achieved the international fame associated with films such as Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They welcomed their daughter, Zoe Jackson, in 1982. Their journey was not effortlessly perfect. Samuel has spoken publicly about struggles with substance addiction earlier in his career and has credited his family with confronting the problem. After entering rehabilitation in 1991, his professional breakthrough accelerated dramatically. That history gives the Jackson marriage a depth often missing from polished red carpet photographs. LaTanya was there before the enormous success and during some of the hardest years preceding it. She also refused to exist merely as Samuel L. Jackson's wife. LaTanya built an extensive career across stage, television, and film. Her theatrical work became particularly significant, and she made history in 2022 as the first woman to direct an August Wilson play on Broadway when she directed the revival of The Piano Lesson, which starred Samuel. More than 4 decades after their wedding, they remain one of Black Hollywood's longest-lasting high-profile marriages. That longevity makes their partnership especially suited to this story. Samuel accumulated global fame and box office success, while LaTanya maintained her own creative identity. Their marriage represents something more compelling than celebrity glamour. Two Black artists who grew from ambitious college performers into an influential Hollywood and Broadway partnership without forgetting the life they built before the world knew their names. Leon Isaac Kennedy and Jane Kennedy. During the 1970s, few Black entertainment couples looked more camera-ready than Leon Isaac Kennedy and Jane Kennedy. Both were ambitious, charismatic, and rising rapidly through an industry that still offered limited opportunities to Black performers. Jane in particular emerged as a groundbreaking symbol of beauty and versatility, combining modeling, acting, television hosting, and sports broadcasting in a career that challenged expectations about where Black women could appear on American television. The couple married in 1971 when both were still young and building their careers. Jane had already demonstrated extraordinary stage presence, and in 1970 she became the first Black woman to win the Miss Ohio USA title. Her visibility expanded dramatically afterward. With her athletic image, confidence, and glamorous appearance, she became one of the most recognizable Black female personalities of the era. Leon developed his own acting career, eventually becoming particularly associated with films such as Penitentiary, the 1979 drama in which he played boxer Martell Too Sweet Gordon. The Kennedys also worked together professionally, appearing in projects that reinforced their public image as a striking entertainment couple. But their marriage did not become the lifelong Hollywood romance suggested by some exaggerated online retellings. The relationship eventually deteriorated, and Leon and Jane divorced in 1982 after roughly 11 years of marriage. Claims about specific affairs, private arguments, or dramatic confrontations should not be repeated as established facts without reliable documentation. Jane subsequently continued building a legacy extending far beyond her first marriage. Her work in sports television was especially groundbreaking at a time when Black women were rarely given prominent roles in that field. Leon and Jane therefore belong in this story, not because of invented scandal, but because they genuinely represented a remarkable moment in Black entertainment history. For a time, they were two young Black stars rising together, and Jane Kennedy's combination of beauty, ambition, and barrier-breaking visibility made their pairing particularly memorable. Courtney B. Vance and Angela Bassett. Courtney B. Vance and Angela Bassett represent one of the most accomplished marriages in modern Black Hollywood. Angela has spent decades earning admiration not only for her beauty and commanding screen presence, but also for portraying powerful black women with unusual depth. Courtney, meanwhile, developed into an acclaimed stage and screen actor whose career has earned major honors of its own. Together they became something increasingly rare in celebrity culture. Two highly successful performers whose marriage endured while both careers continued to evolve. Their paths first crossed at the Yale School of Drama in the early 1980s, although romance did not immediately follow. Years later, after reconnecting in Los Angeles, their friendship developed into something deeper. They married on October 12, 1997. By then, Angela was already a major Hollywood figure. Her portrayal of Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do With It had earned her an Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe. Courtney had established impressive credentials across theater, film, and television, including Tony-recognized Broadway work. In 2006, the couple welcomed twins Bronwyn Golden Vance and Slater Josiah Vance through a gestational surrogate. Parenthood added another dimension to a partnership already shaped by demanding acting schedules and public careers. Their professional achievements continued. Courtney won an Emmy for The People vs. O.J. Simpson American Crime Story, while Angela expanded her remarkable resume through projects including Black Panther. Her performance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever earned another Academy Award nomination, and in 2024 she received an honorary Oscar recognizing her exceptional career. Yet their longevity may be equally impressive. After more than a quarter century of marriage, Courtney and Angela remain together. Angela Bassett has long been celebrated as one of Hollywood's most striking women, but reducing this relationship to appearance would miss its real appeal. Courtney did not simply marry a beautiful actress, he married an artist whose talent matched her presence while building an equally respected career beside her. Their story is one of beauty, achievement, family, and lasting partnership. John Amos and Lillian Lehman. John Amos became one of television's most recognizable black fathers during the 1970s, but his personal life was far more complicated than the family stability audiences associated with his famous characters. After earlier marriages, including his union with artist and equestrian Noel Mickelson, Amos married actress Lillian Lehman in 1978. Their relationship placed two talented black performers together, although the marriage would prove remarkably brief. Lillian Lehman was much more than a beautiful woman connected to a television star. Born in Alabama, she developed a substantial career as an actress and educator, appearing across television, film, and theater. Her polished appearance, intelligence, and composed screen presence made her particularly memorable, while her professional work demonstrated an identity independent of her husband's celebrity. By the time they married, Amos had already achieved enormous visibility. He had played Gordy Howard on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and become especially famous as James Evans Sr. on Good Times. His forceful performance turned James into one of the era's defining black television fathers. Amos later expanded his dramatic reputation through Roots, portraying the adult Kunta Kinte and earning an Emmy nomination. Despite their individual accomplishments, Amos and Lehman did not build a long Hollywood marriage. They divorced in 1979, approximately a year after their wedding. That documented fact is enough. Dramatic claims about tearful confrontations, suitcases, or private conversations sometimes attached to their separation should not be presented as history without reliable evidence. Their brief union still deserves attention because it connected two accomplished black artists at important stages of their careers. Amos continued acting for decades, appearing in projects including Coming to America and The West Wing. He died in 2024 at age 84. Lehman built a lengthy career of her own. Their marriage was short, but Lillian should not be remembered merely as John Amos's former wife. She was an accomplished black actress whose elegance, education, and artistic independence made her noteworthy in her own right. Richard Pryor and Jennifer Lee. Richard Pryor's personal life was almost as complicated as the comedy that made him revolutionary, and no relationship illustrates that turbulence better than his bond with Jennifer Lee. Pryor married 7 times to 5 women, yet Jennifer occupies a distinctive place in his story because she married him twice and ultimately remained his wife until his death. Jennifer Lee was an actress and performer whose blonde hair and striking appearance made the couple visually memorable, but their relationship was never a simple Hollywood fairy tale. They first married in August 1981. By then, Pryor had become one of America's most influential comedians, celebrated for transforming painful experiences involving race relationships, addiction, and everyday life into fearless comedy. His private world, however, was unstable. Pryor struggled publicly with drug addiction and experienced serious personal crises. One important correction to exaggerated retellings concerns his infamous 1980 fire incident. Pryor suffered devastating burns after setting himself on fire while freebasing cocaine. It should not be inaccurately described as him simply setting fire to a living room during an argument with Jennifer. Their first marriage ended in divorce in 1982. But their story was not finished. Years later, Jennifer returned to Pryor's life as his health deteriorated. He had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and his physical condition became increasingly difficult. On June 29, 2001, the two married again almost 20 years after their first wedding. This second marriage lasted until Pryor died from a heart attack on December 10, 2005, at age 65. Jennifer therefore occupied a rare position in the comedian's complicated romantic history. She experienced both separation and reconciliation with him and was beside him during his final years. Their relationship was imperfect, sometimes turbulent, and impossible to reduce to glamour. Yet perhaps that is precisely what makes it compelling. After divorce's addiction, extraordinary fame, illness, and decades apart, Richard Pryor and Jennifer Lee somehow found their way back to each other for the final chapter. Sterling K. Brown and Ryan Michelle Bath. Before Sterling K. Brown became an Emmy-winning television star, Ryan Michelle Bath knew him as a fellow student trying to find his place in the acting world. Their relationship began at Stanford University, where both were students in the 1990s. What followed was not a perfectly straight road toward marriage, but a long friendship and romance that survived separation before eventually becoming one of modern Black Hollywood's most enduring partnerships. Ryan possessed her own artistic ambitions from the beginning. After Stanford, she earned a Master of Fine Arts degree from New York University's Tisch School of the Arts and developed a professional acting career spanning television, film, and theater. Her credits eventually included productions such as Boston Legal, This Is Us, First Wives Club, and The Endgame. Sterling and Ryan dated during their college years, but experienced an extended breakup before reconnecting. Their history gives the relationship considerably more depth than the instant love narratives often created around celebrity couples. They eloped in 2006 and held a larger wedding celebration in 2007. Together they became parents to 2 sons, Andrew and Amare. Sterling's career later exploded. His portrayal of Christopher Darden in the People vs. O.J. Simpson American Crime Story earned him an Emmy, while his role as Randall Pearson on This Is Us brought another Emmy and made him one of television's most recognizable leading actors. His performance in American Fiction later earned him an Academy Award nomination. Ryan meanwhile continued working rather than becoming simply an accessory to her husband's success. The two have occasionally appeared in the same projects, giving audiences glimpses of their real-life chemistry through their professional work. Their story fits this subject particularly well because Ryan Michelle Bath brings more than beauty to the partnership. She is an educated, accomplished Black actress who knew Sterling before the awards and worldwide recognition arrived. Their marriage represents a different kind of Hollywood romance. Two performers who grew up professionally together, endured an early separation, reunited, built a family, and ultimately watched years of persistence turn into extraordinary success. Al Green and Shirley Kiles. Al Green created some of the most seductive love songs in soul history, but his marriage to Shirley Kiles revealed a painful contrast between the romantic tenderness of his music and the serious problems alleged inside their home. Their story therefore requires careful treatment. Unlike sensationalized retellings involving invented perfume-shattered gold records or cinematic confrontations, the documented record contains significant allegations that should be described accurately and responsibly. Green was already a major soul star when he married Shirley in June 1977. By then, recordings including Tired of Being Alone, I'm Still in Love with You and the timeless Let's Stay Together had established his smooth falsetto and emotionally intimate style around the world. Shirley was a background singer who performed with Green and possessed a graceful stage presence of her own. Their marriage, however, was short. The couple had 3 daughters together, but Shirley filed for divorce in 1978. The divorce proceedings brought disturbing allegations into public view. Shirley accused Green of physically abusing her during their marriage. Contemporary reporting described allegations of repeated violence, including claims detailed in court filings. Green denied wrongdoing in connection with aspects of the accusations. Because these are serious matters, they should be presented as documented allegations rather than embellished into fictional scenes or treated casually as entertainment. Their divorce was finalized in 1983. Green's life subsequently followed a remarkable path. Having already experienced a religious awakening during the 1970s, he increasingly concentrated on gospel music and ministry, becoming an ordained pastor while maintaining his status as one of soul music's greatest voices. Shirley Kiles later built a life beyond the marriage and remained connected to music and family. For a story about famous black men and their beautiful wives. This couple represents the darker side of celebrity relationships. Shirley should not be reduced to the woman beside a legendary singer. Her experience reminds us that glamorous photographs and romantic songs cannot tell outsiders what happens inside a marriage, and that accuracy matters most when the documented story involves allegations of real harm. Marvin Gaye and Janice Hunter. Marvin Gaye was still married to Anna Gordy when Janice Hunter entered his world, making the beginning of their relationship one of the most complicated chapters in the soul legend's personal history. They met in 1973 at Motown's Hitsville West studio in Los Angeles. Marvin was 34. Janice was 17. The significant age difference and Marvin's existing marriage are essential facts that should not be romanticized or erased when telling their story. Janice soon became an important presence in Marvin's personal and creative life. Their relationship coincided with the period surrounding Let's Get It On, one of the most sensual and commercially successful albums of his career. Together they had 2 children, daughter Nona Gaye, born in 1974, and son Frankie Gaye, born in 1975. After Marvin's divorce from Anna was finalized, Marvin and Janice married in October 1977. By then, he was internationally famous, but his private life was becoming increasingly unstable. Financial pressures, drug use, infidelity, emotional volatility, and the demands of celebrity placed enormous strain on their relationship. Their marriage ultimately lasted only a few years. Janice filed for divorce, and the divorce became final in 1981. Marvin subsequently entered an increasingly troubled period. He spent time in Europe, eventually recording Midnight Love, the album containing his 1982 comeback hit Sexual Healing. His life ended tragically on April 1, 1984, when his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., fatally shot him during an argument at the family home. Marvin was 44. Janice lived for decades afterward and eventually told her own version of their relationship in the memoir After the Dance: My Life with Marvin Gaye. She died in 2022 at age 66. Their relationship was passionate but deeply complicated. Rather than a glamorous fairy tale, it became part of a turbulent period in Marvin's life, one in which extraordinary music existed beside addiction-fractured relationships and personal instability. Curtis Mayfield and Althida Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield created music about perseverance, dignity, and surviving impossible circumstances. Those themes became painfully personal after a catastrophic accident changed his life, and his wife, Altaida Mayfield, became an important figure during the difficult years that followed. Their partnership deserves attention not because of invented Hollywood drama, but because of the resilience surrounding one of soul music's most respected artists. Curtis had already established an extraordinary legacy long before tragedy struck. As a member of the Impressions, he helped create songs such as People Get Ready that became closely associated with the civil rights era. His solo career expanded his influence even further, particularly with the landmark soundtrack to Superfly in 1972. Altaida shared his later life away from the mythology surrounding his fame. She became his wife during a period when Curtis was already an established musical figure and remained connected to the family and legacy that surrounded his work. Then on August 13, 1990, everything changed. Curtis was performing an outdoor concert at Wingate Field in Brooklyn when powerful winds caused stage lighting equipment to fall. The structure struck him, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down. He was only 48. The injury permanently transformed everyday life. Curtis could no longer play guitar in the conventional way, yet remarkably, he continued creating music. Because his paralysis affected his ability to sing, normally he reportedly recorded vocals while lying on his back, completing lines in sections when his breathing allowed it. His 1996 album, New World Order, became extraordinary evidence that the accident had damaged his body without eliminating his creativity. Curtis died on December 26, 1999, at age 57. Altaida subsequently became involved in preserving and celebrating his legacy, including work associated with the Curtis Mayfield Foundation. Her place in this story extends far beyond appearance. She became part of the final chapter of a black musical giant whose message had always been about endurance and whose own life ultimately demanded more endurance than almost anyone could have imagined. Barry White and Glodian James. Barry White built an empire around the sound of romance, and few women were more closely connected to that world than Glodian James. With her elegant appearance, distinctive voice, and sophisticated stage presence, Glodian was not simply the wife photographed beside the deep-voiced soul superstar. She was a recording artist who became an important part of the musical universe Barry created during the height of his career. Glodian performed with Love Unlimited, the female vocal group Barry helped develop and produce. The group also included her sister, Linda James, and Diane Taylor. Love Unlimited achieved major success with Walkin' in the Rain with the One I Love, which reached the upper levels of the Billboard charts in 1972 and introduced millions of listeners to the romantic sound Barry was perfecting. Barry and Glodian married in July 1974, the same decade in which his career exploded through recordings such as Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe, and You're the First, the Last, My Everything. Together they became one of soul music's most glamorous couples, sometimes appearing professionally as well as personally connected. Their creative partnership produced another interesting chapter when Barry and Glodian released the 1981 album Barry and Glodian. But their marriage eventually broke down and they lived separately for years. Their divorce was finalized in 1988. That reality is more reliable than sensational stories claiming Glodian suddenly disappeared with their children or that a single mysterious letter destroyed their marriage. Such scenes may make dramatic narration, but they should not be presented as established history without evidence. Barry continued recording and performing until health problems increasingly affected him. He died on July 4, 2003, at age 58. Glodian's legacy, however, exists independently of being Barry White's former wife. As a member of Love Unlimited, she contributed directly to the sound surrounding his remarkable rise. For a story about famous black men and beautiful wives, Barry and Glodian are especially fitting. Their relationship joined romance, glamour, and genuine musical collaboration during one of soul music's most unforgettable eras. Harry Belafonte and Julie Robinson. when Harry Belafonte married Julie Robinson in 1957. Their relationship represented something far more consequential than a glamorous celebrity romance. Harry was a black entertainer, rapidly becoming an international superstar, while Julie was a white dancer of Jewish heritage. At a time when interracial marriage remained illegal in numerous American states, their union inevitably existed against a backdrop of racial hostility and profound social change. Julie had performed as a dancer with the celebrated Catherine Dunham Company, giving her an artistic identity long before she became known as Belafonte's wife. Harry, meanwhile, was reaching extraordinary commercial heights. His 1956 album, Calypso, featuring songs including Day-O the Banana Boat song, became a phenomenon and helped make him one of the first black performers to achieve massive crossover success. Harry and Julie married on March 8, 1957. It was his second marriage. Together they had 2 children, David and Gina Belafonte, while Harry also had 2 daughters from his previous marriage. Their relationship unfolded alongside Harry's increasingly prominent civil rights activism. He developed a close relationship with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., supported major movement initiatives, helped raise funds, and used his celebrity to advocate for racial justice. Julie shared decades of life with a man whose public commitments frequently extended far beyond entertainment. Their marriage lasted approximately 47 years before ending in divorce in 2004. That longevity matters because their relationship stretched across an extraordinary transformation in American society. They married a decade before the U.S. Supreme Court's 1967 Loving v. Virginia decision invalidated state laws prohibiting interracial marriage, and remained together through decades in which attitudes toward interracial couples changed dramatically. Harry died in 2023 at age 96. Julie Robinson therefore occupies a distinctive place among the women in this story. Her beauty and graceful background as a dancer made the couple visually striking, but their marriage carried a much larger historical meaning. For nearly half a century, their family existed across racial boundaries that American law and society had once actively tried to keep apart. Behind every legendary name was a love story the spotlight could never fully explain. From marriages that survived decades of fame to relationships that collapsed under pressure, these couples remind us that beauty alone could never guarantee happiness. Some wives became lifelong partners, others helped shape extraordinary careers, and a few remained unforgettable chapters in complicated lives. But now, we want to hear from you. Which couple on this list had the most remarkable love story, and which beautiful wife do you think deserves the #1 spot? Were there any legendary black celebrity couples we should have included? Share your opinion in the comments and let the debate begin. If you enjoyed this journey through Black Hollywood history, subscribe to Golden Black Legends for more unforgettable stories about the icons who shaped generations.